So here's the thing, a certain scientific railgun is a spin-off that structurally outgrew its parent series. And across Asia, audiences consistently rated above a certain magical index. Western critics noticed the production gap, but most of them missed the actual reason why. That asymmetry is what I want to dig into today, because it tells you something interesting about how different audiences read the same franchise. The franchise is set in Academy City, a self-contained scientific metropolis housing over 2 million students, all ranked on a psychic ability scale from level 0 to level 5. Only 7 people in the entire city are level 5. Mikoto Misaka is one of them. Her power, Electromaster. She fires steel coins at 3 times the speed of sound. The nickname Japanese and Chinese fans gave her, bilibili-biribiri, is Japanese onomatopoeia for an electric crackle. The parent series, A Certain Magical Index, launched first. It centers on a male protagonist navigating a collision between science and magic. Mikoto appears in Index, but in a secondary role, essentially at Sundra foil. Western reviewers who covered both series at the time mostly treated Railgun as the lighter, more accessible companion piece. That framing stuck in English-language anime criticism for years. It also, I think, undersells what Railgun was actually doing. Railgun follows Mikoto and 3 friends, Kuroko, Uiharu, and Saten, as residents of Academy City. And this is where it gets interesting structurally. The series isn't a reduced version of its parent. It's a completely different emotional register. Where Index is plot-dense and arc-driven with a male-gaze framing, Railgun invests deeply in its 4 leads as a unit. Japanese fans were vocal early on that the spin-off gave them something the main series never did, attachment to Mikoto on her own terms. The disc sales in Japan backed that reading. Railgun Season 1 and Season 2 both outperformed Index on Blu-ray and DVD metrics, which in the pre-streaming era was the clearest signal of fan loyalty. This wasn't a niche preference. Railgun consistently placed higher than Index in Japanese popularity polls through the 2010s. If you were reading English-language coverage at the time, you might not have known that, because the dominant critical frame was still treating Index as the main event. In China, the reception was even more emphatic. By September 2020, Railgun had accumulated over 300 million views on Bilibili, China's largest anime streaming platform. And here's where things get genuinely fascinating. Bilibili's name comes directly from Biribiri, Mikoto's nickname. The platform was founded in 2009, the same year Railgun aired. Its founder named it after the character. That's not a coincidence or a marketing tie-in, it's a founding document. Think about what that means. China's dominant anime platform, the site that hosts hundreds of millions of anime views per year, where Danmaku comment culture defines how Chinese audiences interact with animation, carries Mikoto Misaka's nickname in its DNA. Every time a user opens Bilibili, they are, in a small sense, referencing Railgun. That kind of cultural embedment doesn't happen for series that were merely well-liked. It happens when a character becomes load-bearing infrastructure. 3 seasons have aired. All 3 opening themes were performed by Fripside, which is itself unusual franchise consistency. JC staff produced all 3, with director Tatsuyuki Nagai returning each time. Season 3, Railgun T, adapted the sisters' arc more completely than Index had, and the critical response was markedly warmer, even from Western outlets that had previously been lukewarm. Railgun T reached around 8.24 on MyAnimeList, comfortably above the Index entries across its run. What Western criticism kept returning to was a production argument. Railgun is better paced, better animated in key stretches, cleaner episodic structure. That's all true. But I think the Asian fandom was making a different argument, not about production, but about belonging. Mikoto in Railgun has agency, stakes, and a social world that is entirely hers. She isn't defined against a male lead. For audiences in Japan and China who grew up with her, that distinction mattered enormously, and the sales and view counts prove it wasn't just sentiment. There's a coda to this story. The Railgun manga ran for 19 years, starting in 2007 and concluding in March 2026 with its 170th chapter. When the ending dropped, the reaction across Japanese and Chinese fan communities was enormous. Fans called it a perfect final chapter. That kind of sustained, 19-year emotional investment from an Asian readership, for a spin-off that began as a side story to something else, is genuinely rare. It might be a stretch to say it has no Western parallel, but I'd invite you to name one. Season 4 was announced in February 2025 and is in production now. No confirmed air date as of this recording, though it's expected sometime in 2026, with the same core team returning. For fans who have been with Railgun since 2009, this is arriving alongside the manga's conclusion. The interesting open question is whether Season 4 will finally close the reception gap in the West, or whether Railgun will remain a series that Asia understood first, and most completely. So, if you've watched both Railgun and Index, I'm curious which reading resonates more with you, the Western production argument, or the Asian emotional ownership argument. Or maybe you think I'm drawing too clean a line and the truth is messier. That's genuinely what comments are for. Where do you land on this? And subscribe if you want more deep dives like this one, because there are a lot more franchises where this exact reception split shows up.